why don't we dive into banner leads now? Kind of talk about the state of the union on that, if you'd like.
Yep.
Banner leads are something that you do as well. You do the Google leads, the banner leads. How are those looking into 2023 for agents that are trying to do final expense and life insurance? How are those? Are those going to last? Are those going to stick and stay?
I think they're going to last. They are statewide only. So they are for, I would say, somebody that's a little more high volume and, has experience in telesales and can write proposed insurance that way. They are, I would say they're probably a little harder work, even than Facebook, because there's limited, you have funnel pages and all that, but it's still, and you do have people that are searching. I still, Facebook is absolutely interruption marketing, but there are some things that are going on there that make sure you're kind of seeing, if you're on Facebook and you talk about something, then you see an ad for it, right? So Google's
you're watching your grandkids and then something pops up. You're not really thinking about insurance at that moment. It's like,
exactly.
Final expense, click. Yeah. Oh, let's go back and look at my grandbaby's pictures again.
Yeah, exactly. So they know who you are and what you're doing. Google's kind of that way, but I would say they're probably not as strong as the Facebook leads, merely for the fact that you can't even drill down and do it locally. That right there is what I look at. There's not enough people searching in a locale. I don't care how big the county is. There's not enough people searching at one time to sustain usually a lead, somebody that needs leads coming in to do that. And you're always going to need more Google leads than you will Facebook or telemarketing, in my opinion, to write the same amount of AP. You're just going to have more of them. So I like them. I think they're a good thing to have in the mix. If nothing else, just to keep you sharp on what's the different kind of prospects out there, because there's different kind of prospects.
100%.
Sometimes now with Facebook, I think a lot of the same people that respond to direct mail and telemarketing are on Facebook too, right? It just depends on when they're getting hit and what they're paying attention to the most. If they're on Facebook, they probably got their phone in their hand, right? So you kind of got a double-edged sword there. How do you want to bring those guys in? Do you want to hit them on Facebook because they're on the mobile phone, or do you want them to fill out a form and then you call them back, right? Or they're going to get a phone call and they're probably got a landline. If they've got a mobile phone, they may have a landline. So they're going to answer a phone. You already know they have a phone. So that kind of stuff you got to look at. Google, I would still say Google banner leads and Google ad leads are still going to be for somebody that's got a little bit more of experience. Just my personal experience, just from what I see and what guys tell me. I think everything that I said about the Facebook leads, as far as, how long somebody's been in business and, kind of where they're at in the business, I think all that still applies with Google leads. I don't think it's a good thing for a new agent to work. A rookie agent, I think you've really, again, unless you're that guy that's just 1 out of 1,000 that gets it. But most of us aren't like that. So I think they're going to be good for 2023, but I wouldn't, if you're a new guy coming in, I would not work them. I would run with something. I would run with something else.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you right now, these with any lead, you got to have some training, right? But there are certain kind of leads that are more sophisticated, right? You got a more sophisticated buyer. So if you got a more sophisticated buyer, the rewards can be more, like they could spend more with you, but you can also blow that deal easier. So that's kind of the way I look at it. More sophistication means better reward, but you really better you better know what you're doing, or they'll detect that you don't, and they'll be gone. So that's why I don't like it for new guys.
Appreciate you sharing that with the audience. And it's so important. Like, training is so critical. You
Mm-hmm.
know how we train. We go through
Mm-hmm.
5 days in our
Yep.
telemastery program before an agent touches a lead. And we've got agents that brand new and crush it on, you know, banner leads, Google
Yep.
leads, Facebook leads, telemarketer leads, doesn't matter, but they've been trained for 5 days. And do you see a lot of agents that buy leads from you that are basically just given a free script? Here you go, buddy. Go buy some leads. And you see how they get maybe beat up a little differently than kind of
Yeah.
how we operate?
Yeah. It's gotten worse over the last couple of years with guys really not being trained. And no offense to any guys out there, gals, right? No offense to you if you've got a 2 or 3 digit designation after your name, like CFP or any of that,
Right.
financial planners, okay. But guys, for the love of God, if that's you, and for whatever reason you're gonna take a stab at final expense because your company decided they wanted to sell it and add it, go and get some training from guys that only do final expense. Because if not, I'm going to tell you what you're doing with that credit card charge. That's what you're doing with it. Right. It's gone because you are not going to do it the right way. And I've seen that over and over, and I make it a point. If somebody has an email or they send me something or they order, and I notice they, you know, you can tell in their signature of their email, or I call them and say, hey, let's talk for a second. How long have you been doing final expense? Do you really know what this is? Right? I see you're a financial planner. Awesome. You're probably selling annuities or index funds or something like that for retirement. You know, your client may be a different kind of client. Just because they're all seniors doesn't mean all seniors are final expense people, right? So they might be, it may not be your market. And if you go and you take a simple issue product, these guys, they're going to be like, I can stroke a check for $20,000. I don't need final expense. Right. So, you know, I just got to be careful about that. I see a lot of that. And I don't know why I see that the last couple of years. I don't know if there's a reason why some of these companies or agents that are in those fields have drifted over to try final expense. Maybe they see, you know, some of these guys being really successful with it is the only thing I could think of. They see final expense agents kind of, you know, not having to put up with as much BS, to be honest with you, as they do, maybe, you know. I mean, you look at a lot of stuff these guys sell, it's a long sales cycle.
Ours is so fast.
It's like ours is just instant. Fast, right? Yes, instant, fast. You do get renewals, okay? So I think that's got something to do with that. And then the other thing, with no training, just from people that have never done it before, that are even with some final expense agencies, you know, I don't know why carriers don't carry a little further too, to be honest with you. I guess that, you know, they're capitalists too, and they're just wanting, you know, whoever, you know, the fittest wins, right? So they're leaving it completely on the agent to get that training and to find a group to get with to you know, figure it out. But yeah, and you would think it wouldn't be that way, to be in their best interest. I guess the only thing I can think of is they just figure out that they want to, you know, kind of stay away from training, because then they know how much time it takes to train somebody, really, and how hard it is, you know, to figure out the outline that you got to go over. I mean, they're worried about other stuff. They're worried about, you know, risk assessments and underwriting. They've got their hands full. So I guess I can kind of understand why they don't do more training. But, you know, yeah, I've seen a fall off on training with people, and they are just getting thrown against the wall and seeing what sticks. And the bad thing about that is I can almost tell when somebody emails me or we get a message, kind of where they're at with all this. And I can tell the ones that are going to order and are going to fail. Unfortunately, I can just tell which ones have gotten a good grasp on how this works and the ones that haven't. And it's really sad. I mean, absolutely, it really is. But you know, I can't just say no to to all of them. I have to, they all want leads. Here you go.
Right. They need good leads.
We do as much as we can, on our end to kind of train them. We've got scripts and everything, and it's out there. I mean, what you do, I mean, it's out there. I don't think they know it's out there a lot of times, so we try to help them as much as we can. But again, I'm not a training organization. That's not something that's my forte. I don't have the patience for it. And it takes a real teacher like you, I think, people like what you're doing, to be effective for somebody's pocketbook. So that's not my forte, but it's very, very much needed. And I think very few people actually think they need training in this. I think that's a big thing, Jason. I think most people get into this, have a basic thought in their head of exactly what this is. And then they get into it and realize it's not exactly, as most things are in life, it's not exactly what they thought it was going to be. Right. Not negatively, just different. And I think they sell themselves short by not studying up quite a bit more that they should, to learn about how human to human interaction works, and things they can do in this specific industry to increase their chances of success. So that's my 2 cents on it.
That's powerful, brother. It is. Agents that watch, I mean, 90+% of the agent force does not find success. And a lot of times it's because you didn't study, you didn't get trained professionally, you don't have good scripts. You've got to be, as Matt was saying, you've got to be sharp. And you can't be sharp if you don't have someone else that's powerful helping to sharpen you. That's why it says iron sharpens iron. You've got to have someone else to go with you, so you don't just, wipe your career out by buying all these leads and not knowing how to handle a lead. Just like some of you men know how to handle and help and love your lady, right? You ladies know how to handle your man. If you know a little bit about that, maybe you won't be blowing through relationships with a lead. It's the same way. You've got to have a sharpness about you to sell. You've got to have some sophistication on how to say certain things, how to use tonality, how to use good scripts, not sometimes some of the stuff you just see that's a face-to-face script and you wonder why you get shut down all day. You've got to be ready, but take his words to heart here. Facebook leads are here to stay, but if you haven't gone through a good training platform like ours here, make sure that you have been trained properly before you go at it. Okay, to save yourself some pain. And if you are sharp and skilled and sophisticated and you know how to sell, then go for some Google and banner leads that he has. Go hit it. Go help people. But you're right. You got a bunch of letters behind your name. You're going to not launch. You're going to feel like, oh, I'm going to lose my lunch. It hurts. This industry is a very simple business, but it's not easy. You can't be thinking about a lead the same way that you would your next door neighbor. You're maybe middle income class, upper income class. And you're going to get really hurt when you decide, oh, hey, Matt, thanks. Can you, Matt tells me if he was a final expense lead, Jason, hey, call me back tomorrow at 5. Oh, okay, great. And I just basically set myself up for a no-show. It ain't going to happen. Matt, if he was my prospect, Matt's going to go, see you, buddy. Block that caller. Next. Yep. I got to take that call all the way to the touchdown, all the way to the finish line. And I got to touch him when I get him on the phone and really help him the whole way through to see the big picture. But believe it or not, agents buy leads, think it's a sale. And then when
it's not, well, like something you touched on there about the guys with the designations, right? They deal with very complicated products, right? So I think they misjudge and think, well, simple issue, final expense. I mean, hell, if I was a CFP, this is what I would think. I would think simple issue life insurance. I deal with indexed annuity funds and all this complicated kind of stuff that's, regulated far past, a life insurance policy more than likely. Because you got to be careful with all this money transfer and all this kind of stuff they do, right? I think they get in their head, they think, well, simple issue life insurance, this is a no-brainer. I know I could, I can explain this in my sleep. But That's not the point. The point is your prospect. Who are you selling to? Have you ever dealt with this arena of clientele? And most of the answers you will get if you ask them is no. So that's what these guys have to be careful of. I mean, New York Life guys, I love you, but you got to get some final expense training. Half of you're great at it. You went and got some training. Now I'm just using them as an example.
Sure.
Right? I'm not saying New York. I'm just saying,
right, of course.
As an overall, an example. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about, where you've got a very well-known carrier company,
right,
and they get in the final expense, and they're not the only one. There's hundreds of them, and don't give the agents the support they need. They just think their agents are going to figure it out. You know what? Agents aren't going to figure it out on their own.
Failing forward is no way to learn in this industry.
No, it's not. You'll go broke before you'll be successful doing that. So
no, great advice. And so Google banner leads, good to go for 2023.
Yep.
Solid.